Welcome to the Overcomers Overcoming podcast series, where we profile those who are overcoming and those who have overcome various life topics. I am Ron Cooper, along with my wife and business partner, Marty, of the Cooper Culture, who is sponsoring this series. Many people who have overcome life events have inspired me to produce this series. We want you to know you are not alone in whatever you're experiencing. Life has taught me that everyone has a story that someone needs to hear. Join us as we profile those who choose to be a lifestyle chainbreaker. Let's engage their story to inspire us and others within our circle of influence. Welcome back to the continuation of our Overcomers Overcoming podcast. We are in session 4, episode 4, with Coach Rick Sneade, head coach of the Calvert High School football team. Coach, again, you've had told us about a phenomenal story of what you've been through in the past. You have overcome. You've got such a positive attitude. I use the term sometimes chain breaker. You were a chain breaker. You were very determined that you were not going to continue the things of the past. And what I'd like to do for this portion of your testimony is to let us know how we, if we were in, or if let's say a person were within our circle of influence that went through what you or is going through what you went through, how would we identify that? How would we establish a rapport? How might we establish a relationship? Because what I'm discerning from your past life is that you had mentors, your grandfather, Mr. Piles, your grandfather's family. They cared, and it was through that, I'm going to use the term mentorship, but caring, that you were able to transform your life. And we haven't used the term transformation yet, but you very eloquently described how your life has been transformed. And we too are faith-based, Jesus Christ, our Lord and Savior. And as we put focus on Him and rely on Him to provide the wisdom we need. But Coach, I'm very interested in your perspective that if we are working with, or anyone within our circle of influence is going through what you have been through, how might we develop their relationship, their rapport? How might we help that person in a helpful way and in a way that would not turn that person away if at all possible?
Well, you know, it's funny because that all comes back to relationships and having trust with somebody. And that takes time. It takes sincere and genuine love, intentional love. And, it's funny because that's what we're in the market for doing here in Calvert County. And this whole story comes back to this moment in where my family has just grown their business to now from 2 stores, which was really 1 store and a beach now, that my grandfather started to be grown by my uncle, and now my uncle and my cousins growing to 4 stores here in the Southern Maryland region, all in the intent to impact their communities through the hardware and home center business. Mm-hmm. And then, of course, us doing the same thing through coaching and teaching at Calvert High School. And, I think going back to, because this is about relationships, that if my grandfather had not done what he had done in deciding to move outside of the banking business to serve a community, to ultimately build, I don't know if his driving force was to build relationships with the people of North Beach. I don't know, but that's what he did. But with the intentional move, changed the trajectory of my whole life and puts me and my family right now in this circle of influence in Southern Maryland. And that we're all still trying to continue to build relationships with others. Mm-hmm. And so that's where it comes down to. And I think that when you sincerely care about others and you're trying to be a servant leader where you put others' needs first, where you're trying to genuinely love others, that's the start. Because if you don't have that, especially during the circumstances we're in right now, then nobody's going to hear the next bits of wisdom that you're going to share. Mm-hmm. Until they know that you care, they don't care what you know.
Right.
And so once they know that you care, and I knew that Mr. Piles cared because he saw me a talent, and then once I got out there and started, I didn't know that I was going to like coaching, mm-hmm. but But I'm telling you, once I got out there and started coaching and realized how therapeutic it was to me, how good it felt to do it, he became my hero. Mm-hmm. Because he knew that I needed this. Didn't know how much I was going to need and how good I was going to be at it. He took a guess because he saw my spirit, knew I love sports, put me in a spot, and boom, I exploded. He became my hero. When someone comes to my life and they have a need, I don't need to wait for them to tell me that they need it. And most people, if not all people, need a little bit more love. They need a little bit more encouragement. They need more little positivity.
Coach, help me with this term of unconditional love. I hear you say that, but for those people who would say that, gosh, you are so different from me, it's hard for me to identify with you. I mean, how do I love you? How can I love you when you seem to be so different from me? Help us through that part.
Well, love is not a word, it's a verb. It's not something you say, it's something you have to do. And so our actions speak louder than our words. And so again, if I am truly being a servant leader and I'm truly trying to commit to die to self, which is the ultimate example that Christ had for us, and dying on the cross to save us from our sins, to save us from our own death. If I'm truly trying to do that myself, and I'm looking at opportunities in my life to die to self and to help encourage and promote others, then it will be revealed to you how you can express your love to others.
Can I ask you this? With your grandfather, Wilson Sneade, with Mr. Piles and many other people in your life, are you wired, so to speak, that what I see in you is far more important than what I hear from you? Because your actions have to be congruent with what you say. What I see from you is actually more important, maybe more important than what I hear you say. Is that a part of your life?
Absolutely, because relationships are built on trust. If you say something but you don't live it, you don't have the trust. So then there's not really the deepest part of that relationship you need to have. And, I'm a failure. I mess up. But in that is also where we can be the most influential. Because in a position of coach, in a position of teacher, you can quickly rise to the top as the person when you go anywhere that looked upon as the guy who can spearhead leadership and do things for others. It's easy because that's what you do. You intrinsically have this gift to lead others and motivate others and accomplish big things on the football field or wherever. But truth be told, with that responsibility, it's kind of heavy as the crown. And so when you have that, you got to embrace the fact with humility that you're going to make mistakes. And not that anybody's looking for you to make mistakes, but having a mistake and not owning it in a position that I'm in, and I think that anybody should look at in a position that they're in, is more detrimental to the relationship than being perfect all the time. Because people need to see that connection through the mistakes we make. And then people also need to see that you're willing to understand that you're not perfect, because other people recognize themselves when they are in their dire needs and then they don't feel good about themselves, when they're feeling inadequate, it's because they are broken, and it's because something in their life is reminding them they're not good enough. Well, when you do all these great things for people, or when you're put in a position to help people in a way and you're loving them and you're always positive, sometimes people can put you on a pedestal and they don't think they can reach that. And so when you can admit that you have been broken and you are broken and that you make mistakes too, I think it helps people get through some of their own angst about the mistakes they've made in their own life.
Coach, how would you work with a person who says that, my life's not right, but I'm a product of my environment. That's the way, that's all I've ever known, my family and so forth. You came from that, and you decided you would not do that. But for someone who's in a situation like that, you've got that sixth sense. How would you work with a person to some degree that says you don't have to continue the environment in which you've been raised?
Well, we have a lot of that where we work here. And honestly, if you're open and aware of it enough, you'll realize it is everywhere you live. And it doesn't matter what community or where your background is or where you may work or coach. But the bottom line is that we're in the business of helping those who want to be helped. Because we only have so much to give of ourselves, so much to go around. And so here with the kids, the families, and the other people in our communities that we try to work with and try to encourage them to grow into uncommon greatness through these obstacles you talk about, we have to be in a position where we can push them to excellence, but we can't pull them to excellence.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a deciding moment that these kids have to come up with, and we also have to be able to discern that as well, because we can't spin our wheels in a spot where a person is not ready to go.
Right.
And then waste our time. And I wouldn't say waste our time in the sense that that kid or that person is not worthy of our time, but know that what we've dropped in that spot, the truth we've delivered to that person, might need to marinate and grow a little longer through the Spirit of Christ coming down on them. And we've got to move and channel our energy to another place that may be looking to be pushed. Otherwise, if we're trying to pull someone along, we might be losing traction in helping someone else.
Well, one attribute of your life that I'm discerning, Coach, is that would it be fair to say you've always been accountable and responsible for what you do, the decisions you make? Would you feel that you've always been that way?
I certainly have tried, and I can tell you that if I don't do it personally, I always felt like someone else around me would.
Okay.
I mean, that's and so it's been driven into my heart, and because of that, getting back to your original question about what would you tell someone like that, at the end of the day, these stories that we have in our lives, they don't need to define us. And sooner or later, especially as we look at young men coming through Calvert High School and moving on beyond, they're only years away from being a husband or being a father or being an employer. They cannot continue to use the things that they got going on in their lives as an excuse. Mm-hmm. Sooner or later, they got come correct and become a man. And that's my advice to them. And it's now, I'm willing to help you out through that. All right? But I can't sit here and allow you to continue to use these things as an excuse. Mm-hmm. I'm not saying it's not validated, and I'm not saying that someone else hasn't had it easier. But I am saying that the wounds that you have gotten, the things that you've experienced, is only going to sharpen you for a later on part of your life.
So is there an aspect of your personal performance coaching, not athletic coaching, but they're one and the same to a sense, but is there an aspect of that says that I will help you and I'll show you the way, but you have to show results to me?
Absolutely.
Action.
Absolutely. And I'm not in the business of counting and creating a tick mark for each time a kid makes some progress. Mm-hmm. It's just a matter of you can only speak the truth so much and so often that either a person is going to choose to follow it or they're going to reject it. And what we tell every kid that comes in our program, and what I would tell anybody else, our responsibility and our role in helping other human beings is to help, one, like I said earlier before, help them achieve their own personal version of uncommon greatness, and help elicit options and choices for their lives. I mean, we're looking at these young people, they're 4 years away from graduating when they come as a ninth grader. Mm-hmm. The options for their future is boundless, and I don't care where they come from. Some of it might be more challenging than others based upon where their story starts. But if they can listen to us, carve it out their own way, but do the things we're asking them to do through our program, through the connection we make with them in our relationships, they're going to leave here with choices and options. They're going to leave here hearing the truth that guarantees that through that truth, they can find their own personal way in which they can live an uncommonly great life.
Now, just curious, did you just summarize your relationship with Mr. Piles in that way? In other words, it took some amount of time to develop a relationship between you and Mr. Piles. Mr. Piles may have saw potential in you far longer than what you personally realized your potential, but it sounds as if he was willing to stay with you for whatever time it took for you to understand the relationship. It would seem first that, yep, he cares about you, and you then reciprocated with trust, it sounds like, and he helped you develop into your full potential. Is that an accurate description?
Unquestionably. I mean, you think about it. I'm 16 years old, just got my driver's license. I got all this other stuff going on at home. I could easily divert it and drown it myself and self-medicate it with alcohol or something else on the weekends with my buddies, or done something like that. But no, I chose to show up to practices early, to call kids up and take them on my own, to swing a bat with them, to show up to games early, to take time and learn how to create Excel spreadsheets, because I'm a data guy, to create the batting averages for these players and give them the statistical data that only major leaguers would see. I'm 16 years old. I mean, what young man does that? Except that in me, something that was there that I want to get out of that. And because of that, I guarantee you that Mr. Powers continued just to support and encourage it because I showed up. He gave me some, I took it. He gave me some more, I took it. And it fed my spirit. And I think sometimes people are reluctant to those things because they're being held captive to so many of the other things that are holding them back.
And what I'm hearing from you, Coach, is that you were not a quick fix. So Mr. Piles had, who knows, X number of years relationship with you. It took time. He was willing to devote the time because he believed in you. Relate that to those of us who say, yeah, I would like to have the same kind of success with another person that you have had. Is it possible, Coach, this will take 3, 4, 5 years relationship kind of thing to bring it about?
It could, and it could also, you could also be just a small portion of the change and transformation for that person's life. Mr. Powers and I coached 2 years together, and then we continued to have a relationship. And then even recently through Facebook, I saw something that Miss Powers shared about Mr. Powers, and I guess someone tagged me in some type of coaching post, and I literally called them out on the post and spoke to Mr. Powers and Miss Powers from that post about the connection that he made with me back then. But it was 2 years of that time, and it was through that coaching piece, and then it moved on to somebody else and something else, and now you have a repertoire of skill sets and tools that have been put in your box that have been sharpened by all these other people in your life. That I was the good Lord pressed upon me enough to be open and willing to allow these people to press greatness onto me, and I can tell you that I think that what the underlying thing that happened or I felt through this whole process was that, you know what, there is and can be a better way. And then trust the process. And then when I did, I started, not at the time, I mean, I did not know what path was being carved out for me with Mr. Powers at 16 years old coaching Little League Baseball. Had no idea. But I trusted that process at that moment. And I think, again, I knew that there could be something better. Didn't quite know what it looked like. I mean, I wasn't pointing to be like that guy or that guy. I just knew it could be better. And like right now, the kids that I see in our program, the people around us that hurt, they're holding too much, they're focusing too much on the negativity and the things that they don't have that's right, the things that aren't any good. I learned a long time ago that when I really start to move, and I told you about this, at 20 years old, when we moved beyond that rancid situation with the family life that we had, I have no malice or hate in my heart for my father at all. It was a change. You know, it was like, we're changing course. This is where we got to go. I'm focusing all my energy here because this is going to move us in a more positive direction. You can't do that and carry that old baggage along. And so, you know, when I see young people and I see other people who are hurting and we're trying to get them to reach uncommon greatness and find out their best potential, you try to not necessarily hit the symptoms, but hit the heart of the matter. And that, again, takes relationships and trust. Because, you know, this person at 16, 17 years old might be reverting to alcoholism as an escape mechanism to help mask some of the turmoil and pain that's in their heart. We got to get to the other thing. Now, when we get to the other thing and the kid says, I feel rejection because my father denied me, or this or that, I get it. That sucks. And I'm no counselor.
Yep.
All right? But the truth is, there's value in that story. And you have a purpose that when you get to hear, after enduring that, will help somebody else.
Coach, you are a personal inspiration to Marty and me, to many people within your sphere of influence. I want to thank you for that. Your story is one of uncommon greatness. I know you emphasize transformation, the transformation of the mind. Christ can bring about transformation in each one of us, that I am no longer what I used to be. And we can be a chain breaker, and Coach, you emphasize that. You represent that uncommon greatness. I just want to thank you on Marty's and my behalf for the opportunity to serve with you. And we too want to be an impact on student athletes' lives. I know you represent the fact that football is just a game. We're here to impact lives.
Yep.
And football just happens to be the avenue by which we can do that. Coach, you are the inspiration to the many lives that have been and will continue to be impacted. Coach, I want to thank you for this very dedicated time for this podcast series. And yes, relationships. It is, and you exemplify that. And I want to thank you for everything that you are working in virtually everyone's life, that you take the time to establish genuine relationships. It is not a said relationship.
Thank you.
So we want to thank you, Coach, and we look forward to continuing to work with you and to hear the stories of many people's lives who have been very positively impacted by your life and how you choose to lead your life and your life in Christ. That is a major impact, positive impact on a lot of people. So, Coach, thank you again for being with us.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Contact us at ron@thecooperculture.com or marty@thecooperculture.com if you would like to get more information, or if you would like to discuss a strategic approach to how to help someone who needs encouragement to overcome their current life challenge. We're here to work with you, to help you and those within your circle of influence to overcome life obstacles. Marty and I have produced digital courses on relationships, interviewing skills, and overcoming financial challenges in dating and marriages that you can find by clicking on the store in the introductory page of this podcast series. We hope you will find these resources useful in your life journey. We look forward to establishing a dialogue with you, as our heart's desire is to establish a meaningful relationship with others. Let's all lead from and with the heart to show others we genuinely care.